Welcome to Revenge with Lyra. I bought my dream apartment and invited my entire family for a housewarming. I scrubbed every surface until it gleamed, lit candles in the windows, cooked a spread that could have fed 20 people. I set out wine glasses, laid flowers across the dining table, and waited. At first, I told myself they were just late. Traffic maybe, or someone caught up at work. I checked the group chat, scrolled up and down. Silence. Minutes stretched into hours. The food cooling under foil, candles burning low. My chest sank lower with every tick of the clock. By 9, I was pacing. By 10, I was reheating chicken, telling myself not to be dramatic. But then curiosity twisted into dread. I checked social media, and there it was. Photos of my parents, my sister, my aunts, all smiling in front of my brother's new apartment. Toasting, laughing, my mother beaming at his side. Not one message to me, not one apology, not one explanation. I stood alone in my sparkling kitchen, the silence roaring in my ears. My name is Haley Monroe. I'm 27 years old, and if you think you know how this ends, stay tuned. What happens when a family who leaves you in the dark suddenly needs her light? I turned off the oven, switched off the music, and sat in the dim glow of my own celebration. Then my phone buzzed violently. Notification after notification lighting up the screen. The first message was from my mother. "We need to talk now." I stared at the words, my fingers trembling. They hadn't cared enough to show up. But suddenly, they needed me. I didn't reply. I let the screen burn bright with her demand. The silence on my end sharper than any words I could send. And in that moment, I knew this was only the beginning. The next morning, my phone was still buzzing with unread notifications. Missed calls, voicemails, a string of texts from Mom growing more frantic by the hour. "Pick up, don't ignore me. This is serious." Haley. For a family that couldn't spare one evening for my housewarming, they suddenly acted like I was the center of their universe. I didn't answer, not yet. Instead, I brewed coffee, sat by the window of my sunlit apartment, and scrolled through last night's photos again. My brother's smug smile as he cut into a cake, Mom kissing his cheek, Dad holding up a glass of champagne. And there it was, the caption under my sister's post. "So proud of our golden boy. Finally settled into his new place. Family over everything. Family over everything except me." By noon, I finally played one voicemail. Mom's voice was shaky, stripped of its usual superiority. "Haley, something's come up. It's complicated. We need your help. Please call me back." I almost laughed. Help. The same woman who told me I was just average. The same parents who never came to my graduations now needed me. I tapped my fingers against the mug, my silence louder than any curse. Another text arrived. "This time longer. We made a mistake last night. We should have been at your place. But there's something important we need to discuss. It's about the family finances." A call immediately. Finances. There it was. The real reason, not guilt, not love, money. I leaned back in my chair, smirking. For the first time, I realized they hadn't abandoned me out of forgetfulness. They had chosen him again, but this time I was ready to choose myself. By evening, curiosity got the better of me. I finally answered one of Mom's calls. She didn't waste time. "Haley, thank God. Listen, your father and I need to talk to you about a small situation." Her voice trembled on that word situation. I stayed quiet, letting her fill the silence. "It's about your brother's apartment," she continued. "He stretched himself a little thin with the down payment. The bank called. They're asking questions." I closed my eyes, pinching the bridge of my nose. Of course, my brother overspent, and now they wanted me to clean up the mess. Dad's voice boomed suddenly on speaker. "We thought you could step in. You've been saving, right? You're responsible. If you helped cover some of the payments for a while, it would give him room to breathe." I nearly dropped the phone. Me, after you skipped my housewarming to celebrate him. After 15 years of pretending I don't exist. "Don't be dramatic," Mom snapped, the sweetness gone from her tone. "You're single. No kids. Good job. You can spare it. Family sticks together." I laughed, sharp and bitter. "Family sticks together. You couldn't even sit at my table for one night. You toasted him while I sat alone in the dark. And now you want my money." There was silence. The kind of silence that tastes like fear. Finally, Dad cleared his throat. "Haley, don't make this harder than it has to be. It's just money. Exactly, I said coldly. My money, my life. And for once, it's not yours to take. I hung up before they could reply, my hands shaking. Not from guilt, but from power. For the first time, the leverage was mine. The next morning, they doubled down. Mom showed up at my apartment uninvited, tapping on the door like she still owned the keys to my life. When I opened it a crack, she tried to smile, her voice syrupy. Sweetheart, we didn't mean to upset you, but you don't understand how serious this is. Your brother could lose everything. I crossed my arms. He should have thought about that before signing papers he couldn't afford. Her smile faltered. We told him you'd help. You've always been the dependable one. Please, Haley, just a little loan. We'll pay you back. The word loan hit me like a bad joke. I thought of the birthdays they skipped, the graduations they left early, the years they told me I'd never be as special as him. Now suddenly my dependability was their lifeline. Funny, I said. How I'm dependable when you need money, but invisible when you're celebrating milestones. Behind her, Dad appeared in the hallway, his tone hard. Stop being petty. You owe this family. I felt something inside me snap. Not with anger, but with clarity. No, Dad, you owe me. You owe me 15 years of dinners where I sat ignored. You owe me every holiday where I was too average to be noticed. And you owe me an apology that'll never come. Mom's eyes glistened, but it wasn't guilt. It was fear. She knew I wasn't bending. I opened the door wider, not to welcome them in, but to push them out. The bank's your problem, not mine. Good luck. I closed the door in their faces. The sound of it locking echoed like freedom. For once, I wasn't the forgotten daughter. I was the untouchable one. The silence after I shut the door was sweet, but it didn't last. By the end of the week, the calls multiplied. Some came from relatives I hadn't heard from in years. Haley, can't you just help a little? Your brother's under stress. Don't be so cold. Cold? That word burned. Where were they when I sat alone on my housewarming night? Where were they when my milestones passed unnoticed? I didn't answer. Instead, I went back to my routine. Work, friends, evenings in my apartment lit by lamps I had chosen. Art I had hung. A life I had built without them. Still, the buzzing phone on my counter was a reminder of the storm I had left outside. Finally, one voicemail from Mom caught my attention. Her voice was shaky. Haley, please. The bank is threatening foreclosure. If word gets out, it'll ruin us. People will know your brother failed. We can't let that happen. Please just think about the family name. I almost laughed out loud. The family name. The same name that had left me off invitations. The same name that never clapped for me. Now dangled in desperation. That night, I sat at my desk and pulled out the paperwork for my apartment. Paid in full. No co-signers, no debts. I took a photo of the deed, the one with only my name written in bold. I typed out a caption and saved it, waiting for the right moment. Built this life without anyone's help. Some stories tell themselves. The power wasn't just in refusing them. It was in letting them realize slowly that I had already won. And for the first time, I wanted them to watch me shine without their shadows. To be continued. Easter weekend came, and with it, the weight of every unanswered call. The message I had drafted sat saved on my phone, waiting like a loaded gun. I hadn't posted it yet, but the temptation grew stronger with every desperate voicemail. On Saturday, my brother finally called himself. His voice was thinner than I remembered. Pride chipped away. Haley, I know we've had our differences, but you can't just sit back and watch me lose everything. You're my sister. You're supposed to help. I let his words hang in the silence between us, heavy and sharp. Then I asked, calm and cold, did you think about me when you all skipped my housewarming? When you toasted your new place while I sat alone? Was I your sister then? He went quiet, and the silence told me all I needed to know. That night I opened my social media, pulled up the photo of my deed, my name bold and unchallenged across the page, and paired it with the caption I had written days ago. Built this life alone. Some stories tell themselves. Within hours, likes and comments poured in. Friends from work cheered me on. Old classmates sent congratulations. Even distant cousins chimed in, some shocked, some supportive. And I knew without a doubt my family had seen it. By morning, my mother's text came through. Haley, take it down. People are asking questions. You're humiliating us. I typed back slowly, every word deliberate. Funny. I remember asking for the same thing when you humiliated me. Difference is, I have proof, and I'm not deleting it. The shift was almost physical. For years they had held power with silence, with favoritism, with exclusion. But now their silence was the prison, and I was the one holding the key. Their shame was no longer my burden. It was theirs. By the end of the month, the ripple effect of that one post had spread everywhere. At church, people whispered about how my parents forgot their own daughter's housewarming. At my brother's office, his co-workers teased him about moving into an apartment he couldn't afford without begging his sister. Even my sister's golden facade cracked. Her endless bragging suddenly met with unfollows and rolled eyes, and I hadn't said a word beyond that single caption. Silence paired with proof was louder than any speech. One evening, the pounding on my apartment door shook the frame. Through the peephole, I saw them all. Mom, Dad, my brother, my sister. I opened it just enough to lean against the frame. "Well," I said, "if it isn't the family that suddenly remembers where I live." Mom's mascara was streaked, her tone desperate. "Haley, please take it down. We can't go anywhere without people whispering. Your brother's reputation is ruined. We're drowning in humiliation." Dad's voice, usually booming, cracked as he spoke. "We made a mistake. We should have been there for you. But don't destroy us over one night." I let them stand there in silence, the irony thick in the air. One night. For me, it had been years of nights, birthdays, holidays, milestones ignored. Finally, I said softly, "You taught me I was disposable. Now the world sees the truth. You disposed of me first." My brother tried to step forward, but I raised my hand. "You don't get to rewrite this anymore. You left me alone once. Now you get to feel it too." Their eyes dropped, heavy with shame, and I shut the door. The click of the lock echoed like thunder. Thanksgiving came again, and for once I didn't dread it. My apartment glowed with warmth. Candles lit, friends gathered, laughter spilling out of the kitchen. The table was full, not just with food, but with people who valued me. No empty chairs waiting for a family who never showed. As we raised our glasses, I felt a peace I hadn't known in years. No performance, no pressure, just belonging. Across town, the story was different. A cousin texted me a photo from my parents' house. A sad-looking turkey burned on the edges. My brother and sister glaring. My parents forcing smiles through silence. The caption read, "It's not the same without you." I didn't reply because that was the truth. They had built their holidays, their family image, their pride on my silence and my service. And when I stopped showing up, everything they thought was solid collapsed. Later that night, as my friends left and the laughter faded into quiet, I stood by my window overlooking the city lights. My phone buzzed again, a voicemail from Mom, her voice heavy with regret. "Haley, I'm sorry. We should have been there. We lost sight of what mattered. Please call me." But I didn't. Because poetic justice isn't loud. It doesn't need shouting or vengeance. It's the raw turkey on their table, the whispers in their circle, the silence of a daughter who finally chose herself. They wanted me invisible. Instead, I built a life too bright for them to dim. And for the first time, I realized I wasn't the forgotten one. I was the one who walked away,